From boudin to the best burgers Acadiana has to offer. It's the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
Welcome back to the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL. I'm your host, Tiffany Deku. Here we talk about all the food happenings around Acadiana. If you like food, tune in. You might learn something new. Welcome back, guys. It is October, and it is hot. I made gumbo Friday night for a family gathering that we were having. And originally, when I had planned to make this, we were supposed to have like weather in the 70s. So it would have been gumbo-ish weather. And instead, you know, it was, 90?
Maybe.
It was pretty hot. I think that was the hottest that I've ever made gumbo, because I typically wait until we get like our first little cold snap. And it was still good gumbo.
I have an internal like conflict, like a schism of if gumbo weather is really a thing or not.
Right. Well,
because it does make it better, but I always want gumbo.
Well, because there's people out there that, restaurants especially, they serve gumbo year round. Yeah. So it's not like a seasonal thing for them. Because if somebody's coming in as a tourist, you know, if they're not here in the winter, you know, they want to try gumbo anyway.
Exactly.
So, but that was my first gumbo that you've tried. Did you approve?
It was very good.
Yeah. So I used tasso in mine, and because I like a smoked flavor in my gumbo. Yeah. And then I introduced you to the rabbidoo sausage.
Yeah, I'd never had that.
Yeah, it's good. That's the only thing that I'll use in my gumbo, because I really like the smoked sausage, the smoked flavor of the sausage. It's
my family
delicious.
was a Richard's family for sausage, but rabbidoo's was pretty good.
Well, the tasso was Richard's.
Gotcha.
So it had a little bit in there, because I think that's the only brand that they sell in the supermarket.
Really?
Well, maybe Richard's and Savoy's is the only tasso.
Okay.
But like, I guess like to get, you'd have to go to like a specialty market to get, you know, any other type of brand. But any supermarket you could go in and get Richard's or Savoy's.
Pretty much.
But I'm pretty sure it was Richard's. Okay, so I judged the second annual pork finger cook-off in New Iberia yesterday. I love judging this competition because it's always really good items. Bob helped me with my leftovers.
Exactly.
And there was some really, like, it started out strong. Like, the first one was this Korean flavored pork finger. It was really sweet, and it was, I feel like that one was my favorite one. The only problem with it is that the pork fingers were a little dry. Yeah,
it was like almost like pre-dehydrated beef jerky.
Yeah, that was a good analogy of it. But I'm trying to think, what were some of the other ones? Oh, the sugarcane wonton tacos, which you kind of like didn't like.
I dug it.
The coleslaw that was on top was a little overpowering.
Yeah, I like that it was served with a piece of sugar cane.
Right. It was really cool. One of the judges that was judging with me is not from the area, and she was like, "What are you supposed to do with this?" And everyone in the room was like, "You chew on it." They were like, "Clearly you didn't go to school here."
No.
I think I've only chewed on sugar cane once.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Like, it used to be a thing, like going to my grandma's in Catahoula on Sunday. During this time of season, they'd have the stalks on the side of the road. We'd pull over, pick some up, and chew it on the way.
Yeah, I think I've only done it once.
Yeah.
And again, I'm going to say this since we're talking about sugarcane. I don't understand why sugarcane juice is not more of a thing here. Because why do we have to go to Laotian New Year to get it?
It should totally be
I don't understand this.
everywhere.
This is like there's a total market for it.
Yep.
And I don't understand why it's not more of a thing.
It should be like the Festival International cocktail.
Yeah. Oh. And then have a little sugarcane stick hanging out of it. The other one that was really interesting, and we had decided that it wasn't bad or wasn't good, it was just very different, there was a pork finger gravy that was made with turnips.
Yeah.
And a lot of people had kind of commented that they had never had a gravy with turnips before, and it wasn't bad. Like, the gravy that was with it was really good. I really liked the gravy flavor, but the turnips were a little too chunky. Yeah. And it had that sharp bite to it. And I had said, like, if they had like chopped it in like 4 more times to make it a little smaller, and then like had potato with it too. It may have not been so bad, but you liked it so much you took a lot of the leftovers home.
Yeah, it's
of
definitely
that
good.
one.
I mean, I like turnip. I think I would have added the turnip greens from it to the gravy. I think that would have helped also.
You like mix it in with the gravy?
Yeah.
Or like on top?
No, you cook it down.
See, I don't know how I feel about that.
It's
I don't
good.
know if because turnip greens, you have to cut the bitterness. So I feel like if you just cooked it that way, it would have still been too bitter.
I don't know. My friend did it once and it was amazing.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll take your word for it. Also, I discovered today, if you're ever having a bad day, go get a rotisserie chicken, and you can get one from Rouse's. They're like $5.99, I think, and just shred it.
Yeah.
Pull it apart. There is something insanely satisfying about pulling a chicken apart. Like, I got so much pent up anger and stress relieved from doing that. I may have to make this a weekly thing. Like, this may have to be part of like my weekly like self-care routine, is like pulling apart a rotisserie chicken,
sacrificing a bird.
It was just, I don't know, it was very primal. You're just like ripping apart the whole thing. You were talking about like you're not a fan, and why you're not a fan is the same reason why kind of I'm not either, in that getting your hands dirty.
Yeah. I mean, if I get my hands dirty and that's it for a while, I'm fine with it. I was a butcher for a good bit.
Were you really?
Oh, yeah.
Wait, pause. I did not know this.
Yeah. I was a butcher at Longhorn Steak, or is it Texas Roadhouse?
Okay.
For a good bit, like in the freezer. In my family, we had cattle, and they'd bring the cow to auction at Lanyo's when they were still doing that. Not to auction. They'd bring it to get slaughtered. Lanyo's would cut it up, send the meat back, and the whole family would get together
and break it down
and
more.
we break it down and we pack it in butcher's paper.
So can you break down a chicken?
If I'd have to look it up, but yeah.
Okay, we're gonna have to have butchering lessons.
Okay.
I did not know this about you, and I just learned this on air, and I'm really happy that I learned this. This is exciting for me because one of the chefs that comes on the show a lot, Chef Paul Credo, one holiday season, he taught me how to debone a turkey.
Yeah.
And for I think it was Christmas that year, I did like a turkey roll, and I had wrapped it in bacon, and it was easy, but it wasn't easy, and I was like, I need another lesson to do this.
Well, it's one of those skills that if you don't use it, you lose it.
Right.
And it's been a long time.
Well, he also got super fancy with like binding it, and I wasn't expecting that, and I was like, I can't do that. And so he just did it for me. Yeah, and so he just did it for me, and I was like, well, wait, I didn't learn how to do it, and then the rest of because I had bought 2 turkeys, and it made like 4 rolls. Like, we had so much turkey going on there, and then one of them we just like left it open because he was like, you can stuff it with whatever.
That reminds me, we were talking about beef Wellington yesterday, and I called it the fancy British turducken, which
was kind of accurate. Yeah, that was an astute observation, Bob.
Thank you.
Good job. Let's talk about some restaurant openings really quickly. I noticed on Ambassador Caffrey in the little shopping center where Moe's is, they're opening a Freezing Cow, and it's a rolled ice cream place. So I guess like that's the new thing for Lafayette is rolled ice cream, because I see a couple of places that have been opening up with that as well. You've never heard of it?
No.
Okay, so basically what they do is like you have this frozen flat surface, and then they put like the milk on it, and they kind of stretch it out, and then they roll it. I'll have to show you a video because that was a really bad
seen videos online.
description. Yeah, so that's what it is. It's kind of like the rolled ice cream of it. And there's a few places now that are doing it in town.
How long that take to get?
It does take a while, but I think part of it is that you're supposed to like enjoy watching them make it.
Yeah,
but I guess if you're in a hurry, it would not. That's a good point of something I didn't think about. Like to take kids there, like they're jumping around, screaming, and like running through the ice cream parlor, and you're like 20 deep, and you have to be like, hold up, I have to roll all of this down. That is a very good point. This,
Which I'm totally legit. I mean, I'd love to go.
yeah. Well, we'll go. I mean, it's right by my house.
But if you're rolling with 12 dwarves, you got to think about that kind of thing.
This is very true. I did not think of that before.
Yep.
This is why you're on the show now, to help me think about stuff like that. Another opening and another thing that we're about to be bombarded with here in Lafayette is ramen. And Tokyo House, Sushi, Hibachi, and Noodle open this weekend. They're open 7 days a week. They do have ramen. We actually passed it the other night when we were headed to St. Martinville. It is in the little shopping center right at Bonin on Ambassador Caffrey. This is now the third incantation of that restaurant. So it was a noodle house before, closed down, was a Jamaican restaurant, closed down.
Oh, that place.
Now it's got everything, sushi, hibachi, and noodle. If whatever you want,
nice.
Asian wise, they've got you covered at the restaurant. But they're gonna have ramen. That's one of the things that they're selling. That's one of the things that they're kind of like hyping up that they have. And we're about to be bombarded with ramen in Lafayette. We've wanted it for so long, and now 8 places are gonna have it.
Dude, bring it.
Yeah, there you go. All right, we are going to take our first break, and when we come back, Hannah and Cory with Graton Eatery are joining us. So come back to us. It is the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
She puts the wow, yum into words. It's the Lafayette Food Junkie herself on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
Welcome back to the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL. I'm your host, Tiffany Deku, and we're talking now with Hannah and Cory with Graton Eatery. You guys just had a grand opening weekend. Basically, everything in a weekend's time. Yeah. I don't even know how you guys are functioning right now. But welcome to the show. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having us.
Well, thanks for having us. It's cold brew. We do cold brew.
Cold brew.
A lot of cold brew.
Oh, yeah. Bob's had the cold brew. Yeah. You've had it
a couple times.
Yeah. And
I love it.
You love it. It's good.
We're big fans. We make extra just to make sure Cory and I are supplied because it's a problem.
And it's Art's coffee that we use, so it makes it extra good.
Nice. Okay. Well, I'm trying to figure out where to begin, but let's talk about last night. You guys had a little pop-up kind of dinner. It was a Pinkies Up When Pigs Fly. What was the theme? It was 4 courses. Bob and I actually got to go last night, and it was super fun. And I think the thing that I enjoyed the most was that so many locals.
Yeah,
we came in from Lafayette. We were in the minority there because pretty much everyone else that was there was from the St. Martinville area. So how does that feel to have St. Martinville support you guys so much?
It's kind of an incredible feeling because Cory and I, when we first, this was all Cory's idea. I wanted that on air. And whenever we first were going to do it, I said, look, we don't know about food around here, the people here. We just moved here. So I always felt like whenever you're opening a place, you should very much know more about the community. So this has kind of been our introduction to the community because we're kind of hobbits. We don't leave the house. So we did it all at once, the restaurant and getting to know everybody. And the response has been really, really beautiful. It really has.
We also wanted to show it's kind of a lead off to a pop-up series. And then eventually we're going to open 2 nights for dinner. So we wanted to kind of get the community involved and the buzz going slowly and then build off of that.
One of the ladies, actually 3 couples that I talked to last night are huge Graton Eatery supporters. They all they said just down the street. I kept hearing that a lot. I live just down the street. And they said that you guys opening up makes them feel like they won the lottery. They're super excited that you guys opened up. That they frequent you guys. One of them said every day.
Yeah. That happens.
So that's exciting for people that live in St. Martinville to kind of take to you guys so quickly. What made you decide St. Martinville?
Well, so we were able to get buy a really good friend of ours' house, and we were kind of out there in the middle of nowhere doing different jobs. Hannah was freelance writing. We're also working at another restaurant, and there's no good food out there really. And we'd have to travel to Lafayette just to get a simple meal, or there's really just not much. So there's this place that came up for lease that I thought was a really good location, and we decided to kind of just hop on it and make something of it. And
Especially when I was writing at home, if I wanted to get coffee, I'd have to drive to Broussard to go to Starbucks, which, if I would like to have coffee, I'd like it to be a little bit different, or just to get some peace and quiet. There's really no sit down places where you can just, join the community. And that was something that we really wanted to do with this restaurant. Was we like the idea of coffee milk. When your mama used to do coffee milk in the morning, and like people would speak French at tables, or you see older folks gathering and, in the early mornings and whatnot. And we said, that doesn't exist here. It's so interesting that hasn't made it in St. Martinville, considering that it's a very tight knit community.
I'm realizing now as you're speaking, like I'm thinking of like the logistics of St. Martinville and how incredibly small it is.
Yeah.
And there isn't a lot dining wise there.
Nope.
And I think they're best known for St. John Restaurant. Like everyone, that's
Definitely.
what everyone associates with St. Martinville. But they definitely did not have a coffee shop.
No.
So you're fitting that niche, and then also having other food options there. Yeah. There was a couple of bars like we passed. There was like 3 bars. I feel like
At least
they had like 3 bars, but no coffee shops, like no real like
few fried food restaurants.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
a couple of diners. I know there's a bakery. I don't know if it's still open. The Ville.
The Ville, it's open.
Yeah.
It's still open.
I went there a long time ago. I think I had a boudin kolache from
Cool.
there. I don't remember. Bob's from that area
Well,
too. Catahoula.
well, my family
Your
is from
family
Catahoula.
is,
I'm
yeah.
from Lafayette.
Yeah. So did you have a lot of experience in St. Martinville growing up?
I mean, we would go there on Sundays sometimes. They used to have a Dairy Queen in St. Martinville that had like the best banana shake ever, and you can't possibly get it anymore. And my siblings always talk about there was this hamburger restaurant in St. Martinville, and they talk about it like it was the font of the best food ever. But I think that's all just nostalgia.
Yeah, so that's cool that you guys are bringing that to the area. And then another reason to go to St. Martinville is for cheese, and you guys are really close to that as well. In fact,
Miss Wanda's cheese.
Bob and I went about 2 months ago for Sunday barbecue. We stopped at the farm at the cheese shop to get some cheese to bring home that Bob still has in his fridge.
It's a magical experience.
Yes,
Yeah,
it
was
is.
super
Yeah,
fun.
her cheese is amazing.
Yeah, it is delicious.
Last time we went to pick up cheese, we got to go. Well, I had never seen the cheese cave or anything, and she took us for a walk around. It was incredible.
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
it was really incredible. Everything is kind of perfect
My first
there.
experience in there, I made so much noise that they came out of the back. I was like, sorry, I'm just really excited to be surrounded by this much cheese. Like, it was overwhelming for me.
Winsleydale.
Yeah, I do recommend, though, if you're driving to Lafayette from St. Martinville with cheese in the summer, to bring
An ice chest.
an ice chest
Fair.
because it was very fragrant by the time we got back to Lafayette, and I was worried that we had ruined it, but we didn't. But the car does not smell that great. It smells very cheesy when we got back, so that would be a recommendation, that if in the summer that you're going to do that, bring an ice chest. All right, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we have more with Hannah and Cory. So come back to us. It is the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
And now, the Lafayette Food Junkie Show, served up medium rare every Sunday night.
Welcome back to the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL. I'm your host, Tiffany Deku, and we were talking with Hannah and Cory with Graton Eatery. I love during the commercial breaks when you get so into a conversation that you're like, oh my God, we're going back on air. We got to stop and we got to do this. You were talking about Daryl Special.
I was.
Hannah had a Daryl Special for the first time.
Yeah, a few weeks back. It's one of my favorite sandwiches. Daryl's in Lake Charles.
It was like a meat eater's homage.
Yeah.
It was a little bit
never
much
had
for me. It
one.
wasn't bad. It was
Yeah.
just too much meat at once.
It's like a perfect po' boy with like ham, roast beef, and shrimp, and awesome gravy, and their jalapeno mayo. It's just
Bob just like perked up and he's like,
Yeah.
we can do that. We can go.
It's definitely a serious
Apparently they're
sandwich.
open on, y'all went on a Monday though. I wonder if they're
Yeah.
open on a Sunday.
Can we waiter from there?
No, we cannot waiter from there. You know what we should do? We could go have a Daryl's po' boy and then stop at the Rocket
Oh yeah.
in Jennings.
And Key Mexico again?
That's yeah. We were also going into talking about Key Mexico with you guys. It's like the best.
It really is amazing.
I'll talk to y'all more about it in the break, but what they're doing there is insane, and it's not anything like super spectacular. It's just like traditional ingredients, and it's crazy. Okay. Going back to talking about Graton Eatery. Cory came from Dark Roux. Hannah, you owned a restaurant. You were with Tribe Collective, and then Mortar
Mortar and Pestle. Yeah.
I don't know why I have the hardest time. I think Friday morning when I was talking about it, I think I said brick and mortar, and I was like mortar and pestle. I was like, I don't know, something
It's like a mixture between the broken egg and mortar and pestle.
So you guys kind of took some time off and went to Patagonia. How long were you guys there for?
We were there almost a year.
Yeah.
We had our own little place on about an acre of land that was on a bigger farm, and we both had jobs and also farmed. We raised sheep on the land. We did our own butchery and also learned asado from some of the locals.
What was it like to take that time off from being in a kitchen and just?
It was amazing, but also at the same time, I felt like my life lacked something.
Mm-hmm.
Like I missed the busyness, even though we were in the most beautiful place on earth. Felt like I still wanted to be working a little bit. But it was really nice. It was amazing experience.
What was the thing that you enjoyed the most food wise there?
Ooh, that's hard.
Honestly, the food there was not very good.
Really?
There's no spice. There's no salt or pepper.
Okay, and I've heard somebody say this
It's
about
very,
food
very
from
bland.
that region before. Okay.
Their cooking styles are very unique.
They know
Yeah.
how to cook it very well. But other than that, it's...
And calamari, the best calamari I've ever had. At any restaurant you ask for calamari, there's just something perfect about it there. It's amazing.
But each restaurant had pizza, milanesa, which is big fried pieces of meat, and asado. And that's what you could get.
No, every restaurant it's like everybody in Patagonia woke up and created the same menu, and we're serving it. The same menu at every single restaurant everywhere.
And here we are complaining about 8 restaurants
Yeah.
that have ramen. And
It's the Groundhog's Day of restaurants. You know, if you want anything else, so we'd get super creative. Every time we came back to the States, half of our bags was spices and food stuff. I know TSA thought we were crazy.
bringing all of it back.
Oh my gosh.
And your background is predominantly baking. Do any baking cool, like with breads or anything there?
I mean, there was, but for me, I don't get me wrong, I love to bake, but it was too much sugar.
Mm-hmm.
I think that if you have to add too much, they had excellent pastries, but I don't like adding way too much sugar to my pastries. I want it to stand alone. I feel like a lot of people cover up bad technique and bad work because they add sugar. And, you know, your body naturally craves that. So you're going to like it no matter what.
We actually started making, or Hannah started making sourdough there out of a mother we started. And it was the few people that knew about it, we were actually selling loaves because you couldn't get bread like that there.
Was that the sourdough that we had last night?
No,
Okay.
no.
Different. Okay. 'Cause I was
Yeah,
gonna
Cory
say that-
forgot my sourdough starter whenever he brought our stuff back. So
Oh no,
that didn't happen.
Did y'all start a new one here?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, definitely.
All right, because I was gonna say that sourdough from last night and the tomato toast
Oh, yeah.
was my favorite dish of the night. It was just like beautiful colored tomatoes. Tomatoes is that one dish that I'm like, never buy at a supermarket. Like, go and buy it from farmer's market, or if you can grow it yourself. I tried to, it didn't turn out too well. But it's like you eat a tomato like that, and you're like, why would you ever buy it in a supermarket? That and cantaloupes for me are like the two things that I'm like, and strawberries as well, and figs. We learned figs as well. There's like just certain things that it's like you should never buy at a supermarket. And it was like on the toast. It had the cheese, tomatoes, super simple, super delicious.
You're gonna blow up his head.
Yeah,
We're gonna leave here and it's gonna explode.
I was like, if it would have been on a brunch menu, like with a poached egg on top, like that would have just been like it, like it, maybe like a little bit of like crumbled pork belly, like crispy bacon. Oh yes,
he does the same thing with avocados at home. It's like, it's a little piece of heaven. It's real good.
Delicious. That was the highlight of the night, and I think that was your favorite dish too.
Yeah.
Oh, also the oyster. Like there was for the appetizers, like the fried oyster, because I don't get to eat a lot of seafood anymore because of Bob. and oysters are one of my favorite things, and it was just so perfectly fried and flavorful, and I was like, oh yeah, oysters are in season, that's right. It was so good. How did you get it? It was so like perfectly shaped. It wasn't like didn't get mashed or squished or anything. How do you do that?
Just clean oil and attention to breading it properly.
Are you just doing like one oyster at a time?
No, we do a few.
Okay.
But just I guess not over frying it and not letting it sit in the flour. Just flouring it and then straight into the oil so it doesn't pick up too much.
And I guess too, like most places when they fry an oyster, they're like putting it into a bin and like dropping it in. That's not what y'all are doing. It's like very like a few at a time. Yeah. So that kind of helps it keep good to know. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk. You guys do barbecue on Sundays. It's very popular.
Yes.
Do you still recommend people calling in ahead of time to order?
Absolutely.
We do.
We definitely do.
The thing has been a lot of people just start calling at about 9:00 just to put their orders in. We've only not sold out one weekend. And we're not really turning away too many people ever, but it's just a good idea to, especially if you have a big party, just to get your order in ahead of time. But we have lots of walk-ups also. And we do brisket, ribs, and chicken leg quarters.
With Alabama barbecue sauce, which is the special thing on that. I was telling them last night, I was like, that's unique to hear, like, you know, you don't really find Alabama barbecue sauce a lot. And then somebody joked because it's Alabama. But
you say that, but we have people coming in asking, can we have a quart? Can we just like a gallon of it and put it on everything? They'll ask for it on anything. Nice. So not on barbecue Sunday, they'll come and ask for it on other items. So we have to keep it in stock at all times now.
And we don't sauce any of our things on the grill. So it's when we're serving it, so you can get the sauce on the side or have the sauce on it so you can actually taste the real barbecue.
Whenever I went to Birmingham last year, I ate at a barbecue joint there, and I had, I think you called it like the Colonel or something. It was like a fried, it was a sweet tea brined chicken breast that was fried, and then I think it had pimento cheese on it, but it also had Alabama barbecue sauce on it. And I was like, it was Saul's Barbecue is where I went. It's a more of a hipper barbecue place in Birmingham and Avondale, but it was so good, and I was like, I became obsessed with it afterwards, and no one had it around here, and then you guys had it, so I was like, oh my god, yes.
I love the acid. It really goes well.
It's really good with chicken.
Yes,
I serve it on salads sometimes too. When people want a side salad, it makes a great salad dressing.
It's a good wing dip too.
With the fried oysters too.
No,
you should just start selling it.
We served it at Eat Lafayette. We did a fried soft shell crab with some greens and pickled peppers and Alabama white sauce. Came out awesome.
Yes, and then you guys are also doing brunch. Are you doing brunch on Sundays as well with the barbecue?
We are.
We're insane. We do it all.
We stop selling brunch at 11:15, and we start serving barbecue at 11:30. And on Saturdays, we serve our full menu and brunch from 9 to 3.
What are some of the brunch items?
It's been varying, but this weekend we did chicken and waffles that has bacon braised collard greens, blueberry maple beurre blanc, and fried chicken wings. We're also doing our boudin benedict, which is fried boudin cakes, stone ground grits, greens, and a Tabasco hollandaise.
We did a soft shell crab with grits last weekend. That went over real well.
And shrimp sauce.
Yeah.
Also,
that was beautiful.
Yeah.
The croque monsieur actually didn't catch on the first couple of weeks that we had it. And then one of our girls up front, she's such a goofball. You know, people saw the name and I guess they were kind of intimidated. And one guy asked her, well, what is it? And she goes, it's like the best ham and cheese sandwich in the world. And like everybody saw it on his plate. And of course, everybody else gets it. And then since then, it's kind of, kicked off a little bit.
That's so cool. Have you thought about like maybe changing some of the names of some?
Have you seen some of the things Cory's come up with? Aileen Bennett has to sit there constantly telling Cory, no, on everything, all these ideas until, he's a million ideas of naming things and they're all, super goofy.
I heard you guys have an amazing hamburger too.
We do.
Yeah.
We're not trying to reinvent the wheel on the hamburger, but it's really hard these days to get we're going for a amazing diner burger, not like an 8-ounce burger. It's a thinner patty. We used about 70% brisket, 30% beef shoulder, and we use it's Black Angus, so it's higher quality beef, on a buttered toasted eventually made bun with our house B&B pickles, house aioli, mustard, and cheese, and it's just pretty damn good.
And we also have to mention crack pie. Is it still on the menu?
Oh, if we took it off the menu, we'd have riots.
Can you describe what it is?
I do it a little bit differently than I used to, but right now it's a graham cracker crust. Of course, I add cinnamon and a little bit of ginger and clove to it. But then I kind of describe it to people as a caramel custard.
Yeah.
It's imagine a pecan pie filling without the pecans. It's sugar. It's really, really good. And people love saying the name. You get little old women who crack up as they're saying it and they go, "That I just want it just because of the name."
Yeah. I want the crack pie, please.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. We're going to take another break. And when we come back, we have more with Hannah and Cory. So come back to us. It is the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
And now we talk about food. It's the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
Welcome back to the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL. I'm your host, Tiffany Deku, and we have been talking with Hannah and Cory with Graton Eatery, which is located in St. Martinville. And for you people out there, they're like, "Oh my God, that's too far to drive." It's really not that bad of a drive. Yeah. You get on Highway 90, you go through Broussard, and it's pretty much a straight shot. It's not what, maybe 30 minutes?
At most.
Yeah.
30 minutes from anywhere in Lafayette.
Yeah, if we were in a big city like Chicago, that drive would be nothing.
Yeah, it was not a bad drive at all.
And there's never traffic.
Exactly.
There really is.
Unless you get stuck behind a sugar cane.
Our train.
Or train.
Cory's like, "Shut up." There was never any traffic. No, it wasn't bad at all. And easily for a Saturday or Sunday to go there. Yeah. Man, if St. Martinville got a brewery, it would be a day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're right.
That's true.
Go to the brewery, go have brunch with you guys, go to get some cheese.
Yeah. We rolled out to that area twice yesterday for the.
Yeah, we did, and it was nothing.
Yep.
So it's definitely doable. Okay, now we're gonna talk about something that came up this week. So I was reading Eater Monday or Tuesday, and they had an article on how to properly complain at a restaurant. And it was kind of giving you as the consumer, how to complain properly. Let's say it again, properly at a restaurant. And then Wednesday night, locally, if you're on Facebook and you're local, I'm sure that you saw it. And there's been some news articles that have been written about it after it happened. But Wednesday night, a local restaurant kind of went crazy and kind of did what any good marketing PR person would tell you not to respond to a restaurant. So apparently, and when I started following along, it had been going on maybe a few hours before. Apparently, it's very popular for people to complain on social media now if they have a bad experience at a restaurant. Apparently, that is what happened at this particular restaurant. Somebody left a bad review on their Facebook page, and someone affiliated with the restaurant. It has not been determined if it was the owner or manager. Someone affiliated with the restaurant decided to go to that person's Facebook page, copied a picture of it, posted it on the restaurant's page, and kind of was bad mouthing him. I guess to get him back for leaving the bad review. And then a lady came to his defense, and then the restaurant called her fat. And you should never do that. Yeah. So then from there, like a lot of that got deleted, but of course we live in the screenshot age.
Oh yeah.
I know I screenshot everything that I post on Facebook a lot of times, and people were screenshotting. So even though things had been deleted, the screenshots were still there. So then it escalated. People then began bombarding the page with negative reviews, and the guy representing the restaurant was bad mouthing all of them and saying things like, go eat at Taco Bell, like don't come to our restaurant.
You just doubled down.
Right. And then like that. So being restaurant owners, I wanted to get kind of your opinions on, when people complain, like what you would prefer them to do, which you would prefer them not to do, kind of thing. So the Eater article basically said from the patron side that you should always talk to the restaurant like while you're there.
Absolutely.
And be polite. And they wanted to emphasize be polite. But they also mentioned that 52% of millennials are uncomfortable sending food back.
Yeah.
And I had to agree with them. Like, I'm totally not comfortable saying anything is wrong with my meal, especially now, especially like doing this as long as I've been doing it. Like, I'm terrified to say something is wrong with a meal. And then it said, by comparison, 61% of people over 55 are totally comfortable sending their food back. And the restaurant the people in the restaurant industry want to emphasize they shouldn't be. They, should be totally comfortable saying something is wrong with the meal. And then Eater went on to say that they highly recommend that you do not leave a negative Yelp review. So you guys chime in.
I feel that you should always, if you're not comfortable sending your food back, always at least send them a private message on Facebook or leave a note. As a restaurant owner, I always want to know if something's not right, and I want to address it appropriately. It can be
it's a tricky situation.
It can be intimidating, but at the same time, we always restaurants make mistakes. We make mistakes sometimes, and I want anybody at the restaurant to have the best experience possible. A review does hurt the restaurant on social media, but at the same time, if say someone told the said restaurant about an issue, and sometimes restaurants won't correct said issue and say, well, no, that's the way it's supposed to be, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. Even if the person's wrong, we make them happy.
Right. That Absolutely. Was my point with it. I was having this discussion with somebody that I feel like you should not post on social media if you've had a bad experience with a restaurant. I don't trust your review if I'm reading it, because again, it's like I don't know who that person is. Like, is that a disgruntled former employee? Right. Is that someone is it like there's personal beef going on? So whenever I read a negative review, I like question it. However, if I read a negative review and it says I went to the restaurant with my concerns and they did not address them, right, that I agree, like that I understand. And then it's like I understand them getting so upset that now they're going to social media to do it. But it's a weird and it's like a tricky situation, and we live in the age now where like everyone posts everything on social media, and it's like vengeance, and then people don't know what's going on. I've also seen restaurants, which I actually kind of agree with this, with the dine and dashers that have been happening a lot, like restaurants posting pictures of the dine and dashers and being like,
that's a great thing.
Yeah, and that's actually helped. I mean, the couple locally that was doing it, one of the other restaurants recognized them and called the police from social media. So it's a tricky situation, and there's good ways to do it and bad ways to do it.
No, I agree very much so. But restaurants, I'd say most restaurants are very understanding and want to fix mistakes and you should never be scared to.
Especially local
Let them
restaurants,
know.
they take pride in what they do. And, I know for us, if somebody had a negative experience, I want to know so we can fix it, because that means either I made a mistake or somebody on my team made a mistake. And I know that my team is really dedicated. So if that mistake happened, they would really want to,
Make it right.
make it right. Yeah.
So the article also went on to say, know that the feedback is welcome, but you might not always be right. They gave an example of a chicken that was brined, and when it came to the table, it was very moist, and so they were saying that it was raw. And then the restaurant was trying to explain to them,
Right.
Yeah, it's a very scary thing to serve perfectly cooked chicken.
Yeah.
People don't understand that chicken is supposed to be very moist and juicy, clear juice, but it can also have a little pink by the bone. But yeah, it's a very slippery slope there.
So I would think in that situation, if the patron said that, the restaurant could then take that as an opportunity to explain about it, but then say, if you would like something else, we can
100%.
bring you something
Right.
else. Like, I think that's how that situation
It should
should
definitely
go.
play out like that. At Dark Roux, we did sous vide fried chicken, and it was a big thing that it was pink in the middle, but this chicken had been cooked at 167 degrees for 8 hours, and it would kind of freak people out. So we would have to just be like, okay, well, can we get you something else? Not like,
Yeah. And it also says, like, don't expect a freebie. Do expect a dish that you don't eat, that you send back to be taken off your bill. Because I know I've seen like a lot of people complain about that on social media, that they send a dish back and then it wasn't taken off of their bill. I don't know what the typical protocol is for that.
I think it depends on the restaurant
yeah, and it
owners.
depends on the
and-
situation. If honestly, if we send out a dish and it's not perfect and someone says something, I'm going to take it off the bill right away and probably give them another dish.
Absolutely.
If someone orders a burger and they're like, well, I don't like ground meat. Well, I'm sorry, you ordered a hamburger.
Right.
But if something's wrong, we typically take it off and make it right.
They also recommended to let it go. Like, if something happens, like, don't let it ruin your night. Don't let it, affect how you feel about the restaurant, because
Right.
restaurants do make mistakes. I was thinking about that too. Like, statistically, it's impossible to be 100%.
Absolutely.
And the scenario that I always give with that is that I work for an office that's about 30 people, and we used to do dinner meetings, and there would always be one person that's order would be messed up. And statistically, that's what's going to happen. You want it to be 100%, but it's not going to happen. And then they also say, don't say nothing and then write a scathing Yelp review. Like, that is the worst thing that you could do.
Is.
But yeah, I mean,
It's such a hard call because we associate what food should be by what our experiences have been.
Mm-hmm.
So if our grandmother always overcooked chicken, we learned that chicken, that's how chicken's supposed to taste. But then you go to a restaurant where they serve perfectly cooked chicken, legitimately perfectly cooked. That's not to you what it should be. So it's also a learning curve education where somewhere you have to meet in the middle.
that's a great observation and something that I never took into consideration either. But yeah, that's completely accurate. Another point that was brought up was about food allergies and how restaurants or servers handle food allergies. When I was talking to Rob about this on the morning show on Friday, he kind of made the point. He asked if he could get something gluten-free, and the server was like, do you really have an allergy, or is it like a food preference is what they said to him. Wow. And he was kind of upset. But my thing is that you should never take a food allergy seriously.
Right.
Bob, actually, we went to an event. We made sure that they didn't have the seafood. Yeah. I thought I was going to have to take him to the hospital that night. Like, he was having problem breathing. And come to find out, he forgot about a fruit zest allergy that he had. And one of the old fashions had orange zest in it. Yeah. And so, that's how, like, I saw it. Like, that's how seriously now I take food allergies. Yeah. And I mean, from the restaurant side too, like,
you have to. I would take someone way more serious that walks in that says they have celiac, I would take extra precautions if someone says I have celiac disease, opposed to someone who has that just wants something gluten-free in the aspect of like using completely fresh frying pans instead of putting something on the griddle.
Right.
Because that's a point.
That's a
people
very big
that are
difference.
gluten intolerant, like they don't understand is that like true like gluten free, like they have to change everything. Like
Absolutely.
I went into when my ex boyfriend's son was gluten intolerant, and we went into Chipotle, and they like changed the gloves, and like we're like, I mean, that's how serious it is, and they take it, and I think.
If somebody's just minding their gluten, you can actually use a bowl that's completely clean that had gluten in it at one point. But if somebody has a legitimate allergy, then I mean,
it's a completely different ballgame.
There's always going to be cross-contamination in a place that has gluten in the facility anyway, but you can definitely get it below 20 parts per million.
And for someone who has a seafood allergy, that seafood or nuts is all I always take super
serious. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. It has been a pleasure. You guys go out to Graton Eatery in St. Martinville. Go follow them on social media, and you can see all the mouth-watering photos that they post. That's our show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Join us next week, Sunday at 6 p.m. This is Tiffany Deku on News Talk 96.5 KPEL, and this is the Lafayette Food Junkie Show. Thanks for listening, and as always, happy eating, Acadiana.